Hello everyone, I'm Jack Dunigan and this is The Practical Leader. This is the fourth video in a series called The Six Bases of Power. I defined early on that power is the ability to influence someone else, good, bad, or indifferently. You influence them some way or not. And leadership is influencing others. If you don't influence, you're not leading. That influence, of course, can be positive or negative. Today's subject, which deals with coercive power, is the negative side of it. Now, I'm going to say right up front, you can read more about this on my blog, thepracticalleader.com. That article is already posted, and if you want to know a little bit more about this, you can go there and take a look. We're dealing with coercive power. That is the ability to force other people to do what it is that you want them to do. Now that can either be direct or indirect, and I'm going to discuss more of that in just a moment. Coercive power might be the oldest form of power when we look at it in the context of structured relationships. It's been around since the beginning of time, where the strong dominates the weak and gets them to do what it is that they want them to do. It can be justified in times of crisis and chaos. That's not the time to assemble a focus group and come up with a list of possible alternatives to what maybe we could do. Coercive power happens in politics and government and during times of martial law, where the normal restraints and the normal conditions that put pressure on society are either intensified or they're all mixed up. And so somebody has to step in this case the government, and maintain order and direction and stop things from disintegrating further. Almost never happens on the workplace. Occasionally you might encounter a crisis, but almost never happens. And coercive power really does not have a place in the modern work setting at all. It most often manifests itself these days from insecure leaders and managers who mistrust everybody else, and it easily then becomes abusive. It's most often seen these days in forms of manipulation and subtle pressures that are placed on people with veiled threats. Sometimes they're direct, but usually people are a little too smart for that these days. So they will offer veiled threats and little innuendos about what awful things might happen to you if you don't go along with what it is that they want to get done. On the kind side of it is you have nice, well-meaning people, but they are very manipulative, and they're going to get you to do what they want you to do. It all stems from a complete mistrust of everybody else and their ability to think independently. In some cases that may be true, but the need to be coercive is almost never there. Followers who follow because you have coerced them are going to follow from fear or pressure. And that puts all the focus in the workplace on you as the leader or manager. If you are not coercing, if you are not enforcing what it is that you want done, because there is no self-motivation, no self-direction, no self-decision making, then everything is going to hinge on you. So you are in the end going to be completely frustrated, constantly annoyed, always angry, because everybody's going to come to you for everything because that's what you want them to do. And the end result is total frustration and a miserable place to work. I used to work in a place like that. I was not a hired employee, I was a consultant. And this particular guy did not trust anyone. So when I first went to work for him, he came up with a little mnemonic that he gave to me, which was his philosophy of leadership and management. And he told me there's one word that makes a difference in the whole thing. Now he said that we need to follow in his workplace a procedure called POTC, P-O-T-C. Plan, organize, train, and control. And he had controls inside out, upside down, every which direction to make sure that only what he wanted to happen happened. Needless to say, there was very little innovation in the workplace. And in today's fast-moving world, you either got to fix this or you're going to be obsolete in a hurry. I recommend a slightly different approach and use one word differently. Plan, yes. Organize, yes. Train, yes. But instead of control, we coordinate. We develop around us. We find people who can extend our reach, multiply our effectiveness, and divide our work. And we impart to them where it is that we're going, the philosophy, the character, the nature of our organization, what rules allow, what rules don't allow, how we're going to behave ethically and morally, how we are going to treat each other and our customers and our constituents, and then begin to develop in them the ability to carry out those objectives within the domains of their responsibility without coercion. This is a huge problem. If you're going to need to coerce everybody, it all stops at you. Okay, you can read more about this on my blog, thepracticalleader.com, and there's a much fuller article there. I'm going to be talking more about this, of course, in the whole context of leadership and management. Thanks again for listening.